Welcome everyone, we are back with another video, and today we'll be covering the amazing Digital Circus Infection AU by Cemetery Kills. Now, Digital Circus has become probably the most popular glitch production series ever. And actually, I only had just gotten into the series last year, but I absolutely loved it. We actually just watched the new episode this past week. So I figured what better timing than to get right into this Infection AU by Cemetery Kills. We're gonna go over all the character sheets, kind of analyze everything from the actual story, what they created. And then, if you guys have any suggestions, what you guys think might happen, I would like for you guys to leave a comment below and give your little opinion. But without further ado, everybody, let's get right into this. All right, and of course, we start with the character sheets over here, guys. Starting off with our main character, Pomni. It shows the health at 95%. The sanity is kind of a little bit 50-50 right now. And then infection, we actually don't even know she's infected here. So it does say that she's healthy, but it says the virus unfortunately got worse after she fell into the world of the Digital Circus. So that's very interesting that this virus apparently has been around, but apparently it got worse as soon as she ended up in this area. So it shows over here that she's been constantly defending herself. As you can tell over here, you see something that's on the bat. It actually kind of looks like the abstractions that you see in the first episode of the series. And at the bottom over here, she already did get hurt trying to fight it off basically from her initial confusion. So we actually don't even know if she's fully infected at this very beginning of the story. So I'm interested to see where this kind of goes with her character. And then over here we have Ragatha, who actually is infected with stage 1. So I think that we're probably gonna get to the analyzation of what's going to happen from stage 1, 2, or 3, or how many stages there is, but it looks like she got infected right on her hand right there. So her health is at 96%, her sanity is at 70, her infection is starting to rise. So she's still at stage 1, so maybe there actually is a way to cure or even counter this. But it shows over here that Ragatha actually only got infected while trying to protect Pomni. So that's kind of similar. I feel like Ragatha in the TV series was always trying to look out for Pomni. It's kind of in the same thing in the story. So it's very fitting for her character to kind of, for this to happen to her. So the only thing is that she probably wouldn't have been infected if she didn't protect Pomni. And now we cut to Zooble over here. So Zooble is not infected. Sanity and health is probably the best overall compared to everyone else. So of course she is healthy. She is the best fighter actually that is not infected. But it even says over here, when a limb gets contaminated, she could easily just replace it because she's a part of different pieces. So that's very interesting that she doesn't she's probably the best bet actually to fight off against this whole infection. And it even shows over here, best limb that they own. Of course, the other one is a gift from Ragatha, and then the last one over here is injured from getting into a fight with Jax. So that's also interesting as well. I always felt like Jax and Zooble were kind of at disagreements with each other. So once again, the way this whole infection, the way the story is kind of getting set up, at least from what I've seen in these character sheets, it's very on brand for how these characters are acting towards each other. So then we have Kinger over here, and the sanity is at 12%. His health is good, but they have no idea he's infected. But if you look closely at his right eye, it looks like that infection is right there. So we have no idea if he's properly infected or not. So Kinger was there when the virus first entered the circus. He's actually probably the oldest character of them all. So he's probably seen everything. And it even says right here, Kinger is still here only because Ragatha refuses to give up on him, believing he may be crucial to finding a cure. So this is kind of interesting that they're kind of hinting, because he's been around since the beginning, maybe he knows something, maybe he can help them fix this cure once and for all. And then we got Jax. Now, before getting into this, I feel like Jax, just from of course, from the past episodes, I always feel like Jax was going to be infected first, or something was going to happen with Jax. And I'm not too wrong, because one, he is slightly injured, sure. His health and sanity is all right. But of course, it says in here, the loss in sanity isn't because he wants it to end, but because of the joy he finds it all to be. So it says he has no sympathy for the others, not surprised, not caring if the virus infects him, and he's secretly horrified about getting contaminated himself. So he's not, of course, going to give that away. That's not in his nature to be I'm actually scared or I'm actually horrified. He's basically enjoying it. He doesn't care what's gonna happen to anyone else. So it makes it seem like, it even says over here actually, constantly seeking out fights for fun. So the fact that like he's just doing this for the like, you know, the joy of it is very like once again on brand for his character. So it makes me think that like he's gonna be a major problem later on in the story. I just have a strong feeling. And then, of course, the last of these like set of character sheets, we have Gangle. So Gangle is infected. Like, poor Gangle. I feel so bad for her. And this actually looks pretty scary looking, like how it is. Like the fact that there's a third mask that didn't exist before, but now it has appeared because of this infection. This one doesn't even list like what stage Gangle is in. Honestly, the way this looks, I feel like this is somewhat of a stage 3 type of infection, especially like how Gangle is looking right now, especially if another mask just randomly appears like that. And as we can see over here, this slide at the end of this, Zooble is looking worried because Pomni apparently has spit up some of this infection, like whatever this thing is. So that's going to be really interesting to see, like, is Pomni like fully infected? Like, is she in like stage 1, stage 2? We don't know because it wasn't even confirmed in the character sheet. And then we have Caine over here, of course, is responsible for all the NPCs of the circus, but it looks like he is 100% infected, and it looks absolutely horrifying here. Caine is aware of the virus infecting his circus, but is powerless against the code-bending contaminants. While running the safety protocols to eliminate the virus, he was infected. Caine can be found occasionally running through old scenarios, talking to nobody, so he's basically completely lost it. It's funny that like a lot of people like in the community tend to call him like kind of an antagonist in the story, but now he's kind of a major antagonist, especially now that he's infected. And then we cut to this slide over here where Pomni finally finds Kaufmo, and of course leads to Kaufmo being infected right here with a 97% at stage 3. So apparently this is what stage 3 looks like. And the fact that he's like stage 3 but didn't notice until he reached stage 3. So that's really interesting that it's reached that point. Then we have the markings on the hands, and of course injuries from Zooble. So it seems like him and Zooble got into a little bit of a fight. Maybe, of course, while infected, he was after Zooble. Zooble tried defending herself. And then we cut over here to Ragatha asking Zooble to remove her arm. So it's kind of like when like you've seen like in zombie shows and stuff like that where they get bitten on the hand and of course they gotta remove the hand off. So I don't know if it's gonna be like working if Zooble is like able to do this successfully, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with this. So of course Cemetery Kills put in the comments over here that this is not canon, but they're just trying to show us what would happen if Ragatha actually reached the full stages of the infection. So even after removing the containment limb, the infection seeps deep inside and isn't noticeable at first. So this could of course lead to Kaufmo not noticing it and just not paying attention, kind of like what's happening to Ragatha, of course, in this, you know, not canon picture. Stress increases, the eyes start to leak a black substance, which is what we saw with some of the characters. As you can see over here, like the eyes, everything starts dripping. It starts changing the color, of course, with the pupils. The point of infection starts dripping, of course, from the arm. Stress is at an all-time high. Sanity is at the worst ever. And then we got stage 3 over here, which is pretty much cut out. It says the physical form twists and glitches as it, oh my god. The fact that it gets into its final stage, it just like, they're not even showing what this is. So that is really freaky looking. As you can tell, the substance is just spreading all around the floor, and it's like she's transforming into something really horrific. And then of course we get to stage 4, where this is kind of like, I guess, the final form, where it says over here, the virus changes the subject physically and mentally. Ragatha is no more. Any behavior mimicking Ragatha is to lure more subjects for infection. So there's the point of infection. It's kind of turned into like different types of hands over here. There you can see different arms pretty much at the bottom, or legs, who knows what that is. And a weapon to infect and harm others. The fact that it looks like it's infected at the tip area. So that's really like kind of scary if they ever reach that certain point. So far we haven't seen any characters to my knowledge that have reached stage 4, but imagine if Ragatha reached that point, then pretty much all our characters would be done for. So now we cut to the part where Ragatha asks Zooble to remove her arm, and of course, Zooble does it. And it looks like she was successful, like she seems fine right now. And even though Zooble is kind of like doubting, like, why would you save Pomni and you pretty much lost an arm because of it, Ragatha, of course, in her character nature, it was like, nope, it's okay, she's new, we gotta protect her pretty much type of mentality. And then of course we cut to Pomni again, still kind of going through it. So it makes me wonder, like, if Pomni is like fully infected or not, because you could still see the stuff dripping from her eyes, but it doesn't confirm that she's infected. But then as we cut to here, the eyes are starting to go off over here. So now it's like she's possibly transforming, kind of like what happened to Kaufmo, where she doesn't even notice at all until this point. But then we cut to Kinger, where Kinger starts hearing voices. It's like he's hearing basically possibly his family, could be different voices over here, and it looks like the infection is starting to spread around him. Kind of like he's losing his mind a little bit more with the infection starting to take hold. And then we see Kinger thinking that his wife is right there, like trying to speak to him. Even though you can barely see it over here, it says, don't you see her too? So it makes you wonder, has the infection also taken control of Kinger, where he's kind of like hallucinating and seeing different things? But it also makes you wonder that all these other people that are infected, are they going to go through that process as well? Then we cut over here where Kinger kind of gets like knocked down, basically the snap out of it in the situation. And then we find out it is Jax just kind of messing around. Like, it seems like Jax is just enjoying just like causing random damage, causing like chaos a little bit. It's like he just lives for this. But this doesn't bother Jax because he doesn't really care what's going on in this situation. At least, of course, not to show it to others, because secretly I think he does really care about what's going on. Ragatha informs them that like Kinger never got injured by an infected, so they're wondering, how is he seeing things? Like, how is he able to like see random illusions, like with his, of course, his eyes kind of changing and everything as well. So it makes you wonder, is there different ways that these characters can get infected? Zooble is trying to tell Pomni to help Kinger, while Jax is trying to get Pomni's attention instead. And I love how the creator asks everybody in the comments, what should Pomni choose? Basically choosing the alliance carefully. So I thought this is really, really cool how it's kind of like mixing in with the story. And like in the story, it's like she's hearing all the voices trying to tell her, no, you got to choose Jax. No, you got to choose Zooble. So I like this dynamic overall. This was really, really smart on the creator. In the end, Pomni made her decision, and I'm really, really happy with this one because I would have chosen the same thing. She decided to go with Zooble. Even though Zooble was not too fond of like Pomni, they need all the help they can get to help Kinger, because this could potentially stop the infection. If she went with Jax, that would have been even worse. So even though it's still not fully confirmed that Kinger's infected, they're still going to keep an eye on him to make sure nothing goes down. But then we cut to Kinger's eyes kind of going off with this infection that's going down. And here we see Kinger starting to see some hallucinations again. We don't even know if this is real or not. We don't even know if this is the kind of like the journey of Kinger fully transforming into the final stage of this infection. Once again, the creator asks what should be done with Kinger. And I love this shot over here with even more comments where Pomni is just, she can't take it anymore, hearing all these different voices in her head. And I love this. This is really, really cool on how they set this up. And even the shot over here where it looks like the infection is starting to take control of Pomni as well, with all the different eyes around it. It really does mimic the abstractions that's in the series. And then we cut to Caine, where it's like Caine has been watching this whole time. So maybe it's Caine that's the one that like properly infected Pomni as soon as she landed in the circus. Who knows? Like, I'm really interested because this shot of Caine seems like he's kind of controlling this adventure that's going on. And there you see Pomni made her decision to keep an eye on Kinger. So she's still hopeful that they can save Kinger, or, you know, at least keep track of how this infection works. And then in this part of the story is actually really interesting because she's bringing up Caine about like, have you seen the guy with the teeth? So they don't even know his name, or at least she doesn't know his name in this alternate like timeline. But according to Kinger, he's been running this place for a long time. He just went missing once this whole mess happened. So yeah, I'm pretty positive like he got infected right before she showed up over here. So even though he is infected, it's like he's staying away on purpose. Like, he's aware of this whole adventure going down, but there's still that side of him that wants to help them maybe, and that's why he's kind of like not around as much at what's going on. And then it looks like we finally see Gangle. But of course, since Gangle is actually infected, she is not an illusion and she actually takes Kinger away. So in the end, it's kind of a good thing that Pomni decided to stay with them because they're gonna need all the help they can get, especially since Gangle is at a very high stage of the infection. What makes matters worse is that Zooble is missing, so we have no idea what happened to her as well. So this story is actually really ending on a cliffhanger, so I have no idea what's gonna happen next. Now, it's been about pretty much almost a year since the last episode, so it makes me wonder if the original creator will be continuing more of this series, and especially with a cliffhanger like this, I would love to see more of this. But that wraps it up everybody for today's video. If you would like to see more, please like, comment, and subscribe everyone, and I will see you all next time.